Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been a couple of weeks since my new age, and I've been living my best life. No, really, I've just been working and running errands. Nothing too exciting has been happening, hence why I haven't made a video. I haven't felt the need to talk about anything or do anything, so that's why I was gone. Now I'm back and still nothing is really going on. But I thought maybe we could do a little get ready with me, even though it is 2:40 in the afternoon on a Saturday and I haven't done anything but vacuum my floor, which is okay, and it's also good to vacuum. Yeah, gotta leave the house in a little bit, want to look a little bit more alive, and I thought I would just kind of chit chat about my life and what I've been learning about and all that kind of stuff. So let's get started. P.S. I have a lit mirror to do my makeup, so that's what this like glow of awe is happening right now. So yeah, I wish somebody could like talk with me. I wish someone was here, but you know, Rona. But yeah, so let's see. I'm a chronological thinker. So back in October of 2013, I felt like I had my last straw with some people and decided to change my life for the better of it. My husband and I, Tommy, moved across the country to kind of like rediscover ourselves and what we wanted in life, outside of kind of everything we grew up in and the culture we grew up in, and really just decide for ourselves who we are, and who we want to be and those types of things. Not that all the things that we grew up with or that was taught to us in society were bad or wrong. Sometimes I think you're just taught things that aren't for you, and that's kind of how we were feeling. So we moved across the country and spent about 3 years away, and Tommy ended up starting back at school. That was part of his journey. I started kind of in a new career path, and just started really learning about myself. It was one of the hardest times in my life. I felt like I was physically, emotionally, mentally breaking down the old me, this fabricated me, and like the new me was like rebirthing itself for a visual. And definitely lost some friends, definitely had people say that they didn't understand that I've changed, just what the heck is going on. But it was so good for me. I feel like in those 3 years, I started to learn who I was, what I enjoyed, what I didn't enjoy. A lot of it was through trial and error. Just trying foods, trying activities, exploring new places, trying clothing, trying just anything and everything. And it was so good for me. And through that, I've just kind of learned that I would rather have people in my life who support me and the real me and the me that I want to be, and not their idea of me or their expectation of me. And I felt like that's where a lot of the friction was coming with the people who weren't okay with it. They had this idea in their head of who I was from what they knew, even though that what they knew was fake, for lack of a better word. So then we moved across the country again to a new state, and I can't find my little eye brush, so I'm using this ginormous thing. So yeah, we moved across the country again, and I felt like this was the chance for me to implement the things that I learned about myself, the new skills that I had learned, the new things that I enjoyed and didn't enjoy, and try not to bring those back into my life out of default. I think when you get closer to the people or things that you are most used to, it's easy to just fall back into your default self. I mean, think about when you go back and visit like your parents' house or something. A lot of like your ways of thinking and doing things probably comes back immediately, even though you might not want it to. It's such a default thing that happens. It's how you're raised. So I feel like this was my chance to exercise those changes into who I want to be now. So I feel like I'm having trouble doing two things at once, but it's gonna be fine. Yeah, so I mean, things that I've learned about myself have been, I mean, I'm not gonna go through specifics on here, but something that's been helpful for me, other than trial and error, is just kind of taking lots of those like cheesy little quizzes and stuff like that, but I find those things super fascinating. Here's the brush I was looking for. I mean, anything from my ancestry DNA to my Enneagram to my VIA character quiz to my Strengths Finder to the Myers-Briggs to love languages. I think that's all the quizzes I've taken. And I've just learned so much about myself, and some of it has surprised me. Some of it has been who I was all along. Like the outward appearance of it still looks the exact same. I don't mean like physically, but just like interests and things like that have been the same. It's just like been helpful for me to see those for myself and not see them from that I was supposed to be that. It's like, no, I actually do like this. So some things have changed. I don't feel like I've done like a 360 or anything like that. Like I'm still me. It's just like parts of me that didn't work left, and the parts of me that I liked stayed. Kind of like a KonMari session, if any of you guys have heard of that, the decluttering thing. It's kind of like a hold on to the things that spark joy and get rid of the things that don't, but thank those things. They no longer serve you. They served you at one time. And that's another thing I actually do really think. I think a lot of the things that we have learned to be are, in a sense, a coping mechanism. Whether that's from our childhood, how our parents raised us, or from just like the society we lived in, or I should say childhood, how our parents raised us, or other caregivers. I like to be inclusive if possible. But yeah, I think a lot of the way that we are could be considered a coping mechanism. It's how we learned to do something and how to get by, how to survive in our family, how to survive in the world. And you can choose to change those things. And I didn't know that you could for a long time. I thought it was just like, well, I'm stuck this way. That's how I am. Good luck. But yeah, through my physical space of moving to my mental space of things like meditation and yoga and like slowing down my life a little bit, to counseling, I've been able to give myself this space that I can see myself over here and the other people over here. Do it this way. Me, other people, and give this space in the middle to think, okay, this is the stuff they believe about me. This is the stuff I believe about me. And here's some space to process it so that I can think, well, what do I believe about me? Is what they're saying true, or is it their viewpoint on me? Because everybody lives life through a filter. We all have these Instagram filters, you know? Everybody lives life through some sort of filter. And my filter and your filter are going to be different. So how you view me is going to be different than how I view myself. And I think sometimes even when people try to understand other people, they're still looking at it through their filter. They're still looking at it through their lens. So they're never going to see another person completely clearly. Maybe another idea is like the color lens. There's another book that Tommy and I have both read. It's kind of for like guys and girls, marriage, dating, whatever, but like the girl has pink lens, guy has blue lens. But how you're always viewing life and actions and everything through these different colored lenses. So like you're looking at the same thing, but it looks different, right? It's kind of like wearing sunglasses. So I think that's how people are in general, all of us, including myself. Like we all have these certain colored lenses on. And so everything looks different to us. So if I can remember that people are looking at my life through their lens color or through their filter, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's a reflection of me, it's a reflection of their lens. Kind of helps me to not beat myself up so much. Yeah. Another huge thing I've been learning lately is the idea of the inner child. There's this book called Homecoming by John Bradshaw, and if you search it on a library website, actually probably on like Amazon or something too, the first book that comes up is like How to Train Your Cat or something by John Bradshaw, which was just really funny to me. But yeah, basically he's talking about how everybody has an inner child, and it's all the things that we were supposed to learn as children that we are still, that those things are now implemented as we're adults. So like he breaks it up into the different age groups. So there's like infancy and which is like 0 to like 18 months, and then there's like the toddler self, which is 18 months to like 3 years old. Then there's the preschool, then there's the school age, then there's the adolescence, which goes all the way up to like age 26 or something like that. Something to do with like your frontal lobe isn't completely developed until you're 25 or 26. Not a science person, that's my husband, but something like that. But yeah, basically he's saying like during these different age groups, so like infancy, you're learning how to trust others. Like when a baby cries, they trust that their parents are going to come and get them. They are learning value in themselves, that these parents just love the baby because they love them, that they are just valued because they are. And then you get into like the toddler ages, and that's where you learn your boundaries. If you think of most toddlers, that's when they learn to say no. Or everything is mine. And basically what he was saying was like, in a healthy childhood growing up, like this is when you're learning all of these things, your boundaries, your value, your trust in others, like your social skills, like you're learning all this as children. But most people, there has been generational trauma to where everybody's missing pieces of it. So then they're raising children out of this trauma. And so here we are, adults who don't know our boundaries. We don't know how to say no to people. We don't know how to value ourselves just because we are. We think we have to prove ourselves to somebody to be valuable when we're just valuable because we are. And how to trust other people. Like there's so much fear of other people in the world. I mean, even in the US, it's supposed to be you're innocent until proven guilty, but it seems to be you're guilty unless you can prove otherwise. And like, I feel like that's a childhood trauma problem, personally. Okay, I really need to keep going. But yeah, so I've been learning about the inner child and how most people have some kind of wounding, because nobody's parents are perfect. Nobody's grandparents were perfect. Nobody, like, because it all stems. Like, if I messed up, well, it was because of my parents. And if my parents were messed up, it's because of my grandparents. And if my grandparents were messed up, it's like, it all goes back, because everybody is raising people out of their unwholeness. I don't know. And this is not a shot at my parents. They're cool. It's just something I have been learning, and we are all human. So, that is that. Yeah. And boundaries, I think, is the big one for me, that I have been working on for a couple years now. Just learning that, like, no means no. I do not have to give a reason. Do I want to attend this Christmas get-together? No. Do I want to do this? No. I do not have to give a reason why. Nor do you. Is it nice to sometimes add those things? Sure, but you don't have to. Or if you don't want to talk about something, no, I don't want to talk about that right now. Or if somebody does ask a question, such as, when are you having kids? And you say, I don't want to talk about that, and they keep asking, that's called boundary crossing. But again, it goes back to those lenses that I was talking about. People aren't looking at it through your lens. They're looking at it through theirs. So if it doesn't make sense to them, it's not making sense through their lens, they're just not going to get it. And I mean, this goes for myself included. So the other day I was talking to somebody, and this person was just like, I just can't talk about this. And part of me was super annoyed, because I was just like, let me just be frustrated. Let me just talk. But at the same time, this person, in their boundaries, didn't want to talk about it. And they are free to say that. And if I keep pushing the matter on them, that's me crossing boundaries. So I'm not free from this. I do it too. Yeah. So how do you guys feel about that kind of stuff? I am finding that I am quite the deep thinker. I didn't know that I always was, but I also didn't used to question a lot. I just would kind of go along with things even if I didn't get it, and I found that that is not helpful for me. Hello. Little, I'm gonna call her Fiona over here. Yeah, I found that I am a very deep thinker. I'm a very honest person, in the fact that sometimes I'm too honest, and I'm very blunt about things. Tommy always says sometimes I come off as an ass because I'm too blunt, but he's like, at least you're honest. So, working on that for years. Yeah. Huge fan of Eat, Pray, Love. I keep talking about the movie at work, but I've been reading the book too, because I've actually never read it. And I'm intrigued by the whole chapter or a little part in the movie about finding your word. They talk about how every city has a word. And if you think of it, it kind of makes sense. Like when you think of New York City, like this was an example in the book. When you think of New York City, you think of like ambition, like everybody's really hard at work. It takes a lot to live there. And another example they gave was Stockholm, was to conform. The word was conform. Everybody's trying to kind of be the same and make everybody on the same page. And like her whole idea in the book, which is a true story, by the way, is what, like, find your word, because if your word doesn't somehow match the city that you live in's word or the community that you live in's word, you're always going to feel like you don't belong. and I can totally vibe with that, which is why we have moved to the specific cities we've moved in and not moved to other cities, because I didn't feel like I could connect in those cities with who I was and who I was finding out myself to be. So Tommy and I were kind of like learning our words for ourselves. We're not totally set on them. We think we've got them. But it's interesting to me because for the past 5 or 6 years, I have been implementing a word of the year every New Year's. That it's like kind of a word that I want to focus on, focus my life on, make changes on, kind of thing. So I thought that was kind of cool, to have a word of the year, and then like a word as a person, and then like a word as a city. So I'm interested, do you have a word for yourself? And do you have a word for the city that you live in? Like, could you come up with like one word that would define kind of the overall vibe going on in the city? Yeah, drop it in the comments. I think it's kind of cool to think about. We haven't come up with one for the city that we live in. We talked about it all over dinner last night and couldn't come up with something. So we're still working on it. Yeah. Another thing that I read a while ago, some famous guy, I cannot think of his name, might have been Warren Buffett. Anyways, he said to make a list of 25 things in your life that you want to do with your life, whether it's work related, travel related, family related, anything related. Write 25 down. So if you want to do that, do that. Pause the video. Then circle the top 5. And his idea is you don't want to do 25 things. You want to do these 5. Because realistically, you can't do all 25 at once, or everything's just going to be a mess. And I thought that was really intriguing. I feel like sometimes I try to like make all these changes and do all these things at one time. And some of them, like, they might be a future goal, but they can't be a right now goal. Like, I just don't have the mental capacity, time capacity, money capacity, anything capacity to do all 25 at one time. So that's something you can also do to find out what it is that you want to do with your life right now. And I personally don't think there's any right or wrong answer, because it's your list. So, but yeah, you'll have to sacrifice the ones that you didn't circle. But are they really a sacrifice? Because if they didn't make the top 5, did you really care about them that much to begin with? Yeah. I'm a verbal processor, obviously, so sorry if this is like really all over the place. This was not a planned out video. I feel like the Rona quarantine is just kind of getting to me, and I really need to socialize. I mean, I can be alone, but it's been over a year now, come on. But thanks for chatting. Feel free to drop some comments below, especially about your word, or your city's word. Yeah, and if you have any questions about all those quizzes I was talking about, the personality quizzes, Enneagram, Myers-Briggs, character, love languages, all that kind of stuff, let me know. I can try to find links for those, to see if you can take them yourself. I just find that stuff kind of intriguing. Oh, and my Harry Potter quiz. What do you think I am? Drop that in the comments. Yeah, I think that stuff is really intriguing. It has helped me to kind of validate the things that I was learning about myself. I don't necessarily think that they helped me discover who I was. Maybe helped like give some insight that I might need to focus on something else or unpack something about myself, but I don't think they necessarily taught me anything about myself, but it kind of like validated who I was already discovering that I was. So quizzes, words, who you think my Harry Potter family house is. yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that because I just feel like I can keep babbling because it's the kind of day that it is. So, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.